How do you propose paying for all the needed improvements in transportation, both capital and operating?
Stop stealing money from transportation.
That's true.
When John Rowland was elected governor, and Jody Rell was elected lieutenant governor in this state, 94 to 96 cents of every gas dollar, tax dollar, and every oil tax dollar went to support transportation. It's now in the 60s. What we've done is we've robbed from Peter and given it to Paul, but we're not making any progress on transportation. There is a $452 million per year deficit just to maintain our current infrastructure. So that's a $452 million deficit just to maintain what we have to do. So we've got to reverse that trend. Now, I'm not a big believer in tolls because lacking a system that would actually see that money. I think if you ask people in Connecticut, would you pay more money to have a better transportation system? 8 out of 10 would tell you yes. But if you then ask them, do you believe state government's going to produce that? 8 out of 10 will tell you no. So we've got to have a governor who sees the relationship between transportation and progress, transportation and jobs, transportation and our ability to pay for our bills. And until we make that change, nobody in the state's going to do anything. Now, you know, we've also done some crazy things playing around with taxes on things like gas and oil and whatever. You know, gas goes up to $4, we change the tax. Gas goes down to $1.84 in the state, we don't change the tax. So then we run a deficit. That's one of the reasons we have a $452 million deficit. So we need a balanced approach to transportation. Now, you want the scariest story about transportation I can tell you? Remember I told you in my opening remarks I've gone to Washington and competed and gotten tens of millions, actually almost $100 million. And I started that in 1996. And I go back every year and I meet with the Appropriations Committee and the different chairs and my own congressional delegation. On 2 occasions in the last decade, when I was in Washington at the Appropriations Committee staff level, twice I was asked why Connecticut state government wasn't asking for money for specific transportation programs. Replacement of rolling stock was the issue. Why was Connecticut going to pay for its own rolling stock replacement when other states had been able to get some number of federal dollars? When Ronald Reagan decided to get our federal government largely out of the business of creating affordable housing, our state government, shortly thereafter under John Rowland, followed suit. And we've never really adopted a good, affordable, I'm not talking about projects, I'm not talking about failed concepts, I'm talking about affordable housing. So you know what we did in Stamford over the last 14 years? We made a commitment. And you know why we made a commitment? It relates to the other issue. What I started hearing from possible employers in Stamford is, hey, listen, we're worried that the people that we're going to rely on to open the place, to clean the place, to secure the place, to provide basic operations, you know, for some of our traders, for some of we're not going to find them in Stamford. And it was then I realized that the state wasn't going to do anything about transportation. And the only thing I could do within my power as mayor was to start creating housing. And that's what we did. We made it easier to build housing in our downtown. I mean, some of you have been to our downtown. It's a very vibrant place, in part because we made it far easier to build housing downtown. You're there on a regular basis. And we require that 10% of all new multifamily housing be set aside as affordable, on-site or off-site at our choosing. Not your choosing as a developer, our choosing. Now, you know, and the reason we do that, if you're building a Trump Tower where it's going to be $1 million for a unit, then having an affordable unit inside and building at the same standard is not doable. So we'll say, okay, you can opt out. You know what the opt-out price is? It's $170,000 a unit. So we get them one way or the other. So we create them on site in a mixed income basis, or we'll take the opt-out and we'll give that to a not-for-profit. Built 50 units just the last 6 months and right near the train station of affordable housing. When I talk about affordable, we're talking about policemen, you know, beginning firemen, people who work in hospitals, people who work in hotels. We're not talking about, you know, old concepts of affordability.